I call the meeting of February 7th, 2017 to order.
The City of San Clemente respects the many people of different faiths who reside here. The City Council historically begins its session with an invocation offered by one of the religious leaders of our community with full appreciation of our shared belief that we are one nation under God. And while the city cannot endorse any particular religion, we respect the religious freedom and freedom of expression of all our citizens to pray as they feel led to pray. This evening's invocation will be given by Martin Garf of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Donchuk will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
O Lord, our Heavenly Father, whose glory shines in all the earth, we bow our heads in gratitude to thank Thee for Thy many blessings and to call upon Thee for Thy continued care. We are grateful for this nation, and we commend this community into Thy providence and Thy care. Wilt Thou bless those who serve and sacrifice in the cause of peace and justice. We ask Thee this night that Thou will bless this city council and all those who support it and serve, that they may have wisdom and strength and health, that they may realize that they are the people's choice, and that they may do Thy will and represent their voice. We are so grateful for the blessings that surround us. We ask Thee to lift us up, to strengthen us, and to guide us. We are grateful to call upon Thee this night as we open this City Council meeting. We ask Thee for Thy providence, Thy grace and mercy. We love Thee, and we ask these things in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Now please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Donchak.
Present.
Councilmember Swartz.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Here.
Mayor Ward.
Here.
And Councilmember Ham is absent. The first item on the agenda is presentation by Lieutenant Colonel Cook, Commanding Officer, and Major Cunningham, Executive Officer of Camp Pendleton Marine Corps Base, concerning Pendleton matters.
Good evening. Wayne Eggleston, and I have the distinct honor this evening of introducing the new commanding officer of 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, our adopted Marine Corps unit. His name is Lieutenant Colonel Warren Cook, and also his executive officer, Major Sam Cunningham. Before I introduce them, though, I'd like to introduce Nancy Ward from the Chamber of Commerce, who also is a sponsor, along with the City of San Clemente.
Only it's Nancy Hunt.
I'm sorry, what did I say?
Ward.
Oh.
But you were close.
Close, okay.
Yeah, right.
Nancy Hunt, who is also from the Chamber of Commerce and also a sponsor of the Marine Corps unit. But so we have some slides. Okay, well, just go ahead. These are the slides from initially from the 2-4 Welcome Home Barbecue that we had in December. And Lynn Wood, who is the head of the Chamber of Commerce, the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce and CEO, really did an outstanding job. And Nancy was there to help also. And these are some, this is from HMLA 469. This is the Christmas party. And I want to thank the community for providing gifts like this, which were incredible for the HMLA 469. So go ahead and continue. This is HMLA 469 also. And this is HMLA 4. These are the Christmas gifts that the community provided. Isn't that incredible? And I want to thank the community for all of that. That's just unbelievable. This year they also contributed a mountain bike, the community did. And whoever did this, thank you very, very much for contributing these gifts. They were just incredible. So I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Warren Cook. In January of 2007, 1917, Lieutenant Colonel Warren Cook was assigned to the 1st Marine Division, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines. He was born in Boston in 1975 and commissioned in May 1998 after graduating from Williams College. From 1999 to 2001, he served the 1st Marine Division as platoon and company commander of the 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines. In 2002, he was transferred to the 1st Marine Division, where he served as the aide to the commanding general during Operation Iraqi Freedom. From 2004 to 2006, he was assigned to the School of Infantry at Camp Pendleton and as company commander, and from 2006 to 2008, returned to the 1st Marine Division and served as company commander with 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines during Operation Iraqi Freedom. In 2008, he was deployed to Iraq and advising Iraq security forces in the Al-Ibar province. From 2009-2012, he commanded the recruiting station in Los Angeles. That's a tough job. From 2013 to 2014, Lieutenant Colonel Cook served as the junior aide-de-camp to the Commandant of the United States Marine Corps. He and his wife, Elza, have 3 daughters, Piper, Whitney, and Joel, and they live in Laguna Niguel. Tried to get him to San Clemente, but he couldn't find a house for 4 bedrooms here for the price that he wanted to do. So it's my honor to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Warren Cook. There you go.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you, Wayne. Madam Mayor, council members, and community. And Lynn is not here right now, but I'd be remiss if I didn't cite your other half for all that the chamber does for 2-4. The party is just kind of the snowflake on top of the iceberg with all the support that the chamber, the community, and of course Wayne and his team down at the monument provide at the Heritage Foundation. So we really appreciate everything that you've done. So thank you. Madam, go ahead.
Yes. He has more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really, what I wanted to do tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is just provide a brief update on, if you want to knock that out now, we can. On not only what your tax dollars are doing in the altruistic sense here that you saw around the holidays and welcome home, but in defense of our nation. 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines is part of the 5th Marine Regiment, which is the most decorated regiment in the United States. The headquarters just returned from Iraq, a 7-month deployment there. The 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines just returned from a deployment in Southeast Asia. And we are preparing for a deployment to Australia. In 2010, the United States and Australia signed a force posture agreement, which enables U.S. forces to position themselves in northern Australia to counter some of the threats in that area. So 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines is headed to Australia in 2018 to not only train with our allies and partners, but respond to contingencies in the area. You've seen some things heating up in the South China Sea. We would be on call to respond to anything in that area. Closer to home, you're going to see us in the news perhaps coming up. The Secretary of Defense and the President of the United States have mandated that we integrate females into the infantry and special operations forces. San Clemente's Battalion 2-4 is the battalion that's going to lead that integration fight for the West Coast. A couple months ago, a battalion on the East Coast started that. We had our first 2 females check into 2-4 last week, and we see no degradation in our ability to fight and our lethality. We've been fighting with females alongside for the last 15 years in Iraq and Afghanistan, so it's really no issue there. We're about a 1,000-man unit now. This summer, we're going to shed probably 2/3 of our size and bring in new Marines, whether they're fresh out of boot camp or transferring from other areas. And then by, call it Thanksgiving of 2017, we'll be back up to our 900 to 1,000-man strength, which will be our fighting weight for when we deploy in spring of 2018. So got a great pre-deployment training package scheduled, and we're blessed with our most precious asset, which is time. We have almost a year and a half, which a lot of units do not, so which means we can enjoy the fruits of San Clemente a little longer than our other brothers in arms, and really be better prepared to fight when we do go down range. But again, just wanted to keep you all posted on what your tax dollars are doing, and thank you again for everything that the community does for us. Thanks again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Nancy, thank you.
So much.
Thank you. Sam is my better half here. He's the executive officer. He's did the last deployment, and hopefully he'll do the next deployment, but we'll see.
Thank you all for having us here this evening.
In honor of you taking over the 2-4, San Clemente adopted the 2-4 in July 3rd of 1996. And we wanted to give you a copy of that and to memorialize our partnership with you, and we'd like you to hang it up on the wall.
Absolutely.
You might have to hit it
Yes.
for me,
Great.
just a little bit. Thank you very much for coming.
Well,
and
thank you
introducing
very
yourself.
much, and not only, Madam Mayor, am I thanking this on behalf of the battalion, but as I said, there's a storied tradition of Marines in 2-4, one of whom is my dad, who was a magnificent bastard in 1969 in Vietnam, and I used to be a lieutenant in 2-4, kind of when the adoption had just kind of gained some traction. So I'm keenly aware of the hospitality and grace that you provide here in San Clemente, and it's second to none.
Great,
So,
wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. May
I got some goodies for you guys. This is the a little DVD of the Welcome Home party, our parade in 2010 that we had here in San Clemente when 2-4 marched down the street. And also, for both of you, I have T-shirts that San Clemente has made up of 2-4. The actual design was done by a fro, and so we made up some T-shirts for 2-4. This is 2-4. It's got Magnificent Bastards.
Great.
And here you go,
Great.
here.
Thank you so much.
Lieutenant Colonel. And here you go, Major.
Mr.
Great.
Wayne, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
It's
Thank you
awesome.
very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Okay.
it.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Nancy. Thank you.
Next is a presentation by San Clemente High School students Sarah Barnes and Brigham Merity concerning campus activities.
Hello, I'm Sarah, and this is Brigham, and we're going to be covering what went on at San Clemente High School in January.
All right, so first thing we did was winter formal, and the theme this year was Casino Formal, and it was super fun because this year we did we had formal at a different venue, and it's called AV in Irvine, and it was like the coolest place ever. They had a room full of balloons that you could take pictures, like balloons stacked super high, and you could throw them up, take pictures and stuff, and then they had a donut bar where the donuts would come like Krispy Kremes off the little conveyor belt, and you put like all the stuff you want on it. So Casino Formal, winter formal was definitely a hit. It brought a ton of kids in. The ticket sales were higher than many years past, so it was definitely a success.
So next time include pictures of you guys.
Oh, yeah. For prom, we will. And then our basketball team won league champs this past Friday, so all of our sports teams are really doing well this year. And they won 54-46 against El Toro. And I wasn't at the game, I was at work, and I was getting updates of the score, and it was like close the entire time. So when I found out that we barely won at the end, it was really awesome.
And going along with that, we had National Signing Day, where 20 student athletes committed to playing at colleges across the country, and that was such a cool experience because not every kid gets the chance to play at the college level, and seeing behind where this picture was taken, there was rows of chairs of people that came from the city, and they were all there supporting these kids, and all the students there were surrounding this area, and it was super cool to see the city backing these kids. And everywhere they're going to different places, Boise, close home, UCLA, USC. So seeing but seeing like the city go with each of these kids wherever they go, it's super cool. So.
And then we had our Winter Spirit Sports Assembly. So at our sports assemblies, all the teams like choreograph their own dances, and it's always really funny because just because you can play football doesn't make you a good dancer. So they get to embarrass themselves in front of the whole school, and it's really funny. And we have a theme every year in this year's, or every season, and this one was Netflix. So each class was a Netflix show, and it was one of the more like interactive sports assemblies that we've had. And they had giant beach balls that each class, because each class sits in a section, and so they gave these giant beach balls that like were way bigger than us, and the classes had to throw them back up and get them all the way up the bleachers, and it was the first class to win, won it, and so the seniors won, which was pretty cool. But yeah.
And then right at the very end of the month, we had 8th grade parent night, and we did this, I'm pretty sure we have this every year, but we did it a little differently this year. Because of the new road going through, students aren't just going to San Clemente. They kind of have a toss-up between San Juan and San Clemente and private schools too, as well. So this was really important to advertise our school and get kids to want to go here. I mean, we've seen it already with sports and everything, but this was super important. So what we had this year, a new thing in our school is Link Crew, and I think we've talked about that earlier, but Link Crew and ASB went at 8th grade parent night, went to and talked to each parent and their child and made a connection, and talked about like what goes on in the school and trying to get them to come. So and that, I think went there last year as well, and the 8th grade parent night this year was definitely a lot better and super successful. So, and that's all we have, so thank you.
I wanted to say something. Brigham, you were instrumental in getting the loud crowd for the football games, correct?
Yes.
I have to say, you should be commended on that. Any of
Thank
us
you.
who have gone to the games, it's phenomenal, the school spirit now. Not just at the game, but everything that you all have done, the senior class of having the pajama days and all of that. But I was wondering if you thought that there was more participation in the winter formal because of all the renewed school spirit.
There definitely is, and I think take a football game, you get a ton of kids going there, and they see it's a lot of fun, then it doesn't matter what school event after that, it's always building on itself. And the other thing we've tried to incorporate in ASB too is switching things up so it's not always the same. Our school is founded on tradition, but being able to carry on that tradition with new kind of things going on, new ways of doing things, same thing, it brings kids back and wants them to keep going to things, and yeah, so.
Well, congratulations, that was a great
Thank you.
start. Good
Thank you.
program. Thank you very much.
Next is a presentation by Don Brown, Planning Commission Chair, concerning Planning Commission activities.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Quarterly report on what we've been up to. Actually, fairly light schedule for the last 3 months because we only had one meeting in December, and like you, only one meeting in January due to the Christmas calendar. Recent accomplishments, we looked and reviewed and forwarded on to you the 2016 T-zone traffic occupancy count update. It's a second look, and it's before you tonight on your schedule. We have the 2016 North Beach traffic occupancy count, a first look, and that's also before you tonight, later on this evening. We had one small general plan amendment, zoning ordinance amendment cleanup that we reviewed and forwarded on to you. I think you've already seen that one. open space easements and some small cleanups. We looked at the Forester Ranch Specific Plan Amendment for Short Cliffs Golf Course. That's senior housing effort that was brought forth by the golf course 4 or 5 years ago, and we put in our general plan. We continued that because it wasn't quite ready. We're going to review that tomorrow night. And that basically, we're trying to bring a specific plan up to the general plan changes, which is the senior housing is already in, and also already in our housing element. So get everything synchronized. We looked at 2 master sign permits and reviewed 2 of those and approved them out on De Los Maris in our gateway, one of our gateways. We approved 3 cultural heritage permits in the last 3 months. The Traffic Commission, we reviewed a parking prohibition, El Levant, which is before you also tonight on your consent calendar. Training, since we are required to have training and community development budgets for that, there's a California League of Cities Planning Commissioners Conference, 1 to 3 March. It's at LAX. Kathy, I think you went to one of them when you first came on the commission. And they're really good training for the Planning Commission, which we do have training requirements for. In the near future, of course, tomorrow night, the small subset of the Forester Ranch Specific Plan. We have 2 group counseling conditional use permits we're going to review tomorrow night. And later on in the month, we'll have an input from Chris Wright, a zoning amendment on thrift shops, pawn shops, and smoking shops. Future, of course, we need to work on complete the specific plans update. We have 5 or 6 of those that are out there. I kind of showed you that box here a couple of weeks ago that we're kind of behind on. The major zoning ordinance updates, the 800-page variety that you guys get to read after we do. Some of those are coming along with the coastal plan update. I think the pending coastal plan commission review and the implementation plan to follow. They've had it for a year after you passed it on the local coastal plan, and I was talking to Amber. I think they've read the first 2 chapters. So the staff up there in Long Beach is starting to process the coastal plan finally. Of course, we had the matrix study implementation. You just approved that recently, and we'll see if that gets budgeted and up to speed by July so we can start working on some of the backlog. In addition, we've had a couple of pretty good, interesting subjects covered by the Design Review Subcommittee, so I thought I'd bring them up tonight. The Design Review Subcommittee's had 2 reviews of the Miramar Theater project. And, of course, we need to review the Historic Resources Report that has not been submitted by the applicant, which is a key element going forward that come forward to you. Lifetime System Fitness has restarted after an 11-month pause up at the tennis center and came in with an initial look after coming in about almost a year ago. They've come back with a relook plan. I think the local press has covered a little bit of it. And so with that started processing through the system. Once again, I caution the planning commissioners. We all have to be cautious about what we say about future projects and how that comes along, so we don't get perceived of any, premonitions of whatever we want to support or not. So there's 2 big projects coming in the Design Review Subcommittee arena there that have yet to come to us, but hopefully in the next whatever template it takes, when it's ready, comes to you. Any questions?
Can you stick around for a planning commission item? I'm going to poll.
Certainly.
5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate it.
Members of the audience who wish to address council on matters that are within the jurisdiction of the City of San Clemente but not separately listed on the agenda may do so during the oral communications portion of the meeting. A total time limitation of 30 minutes is allocated for oral communications part 1, with each speaker being allotted 3 minutes, which give his or her presentation. I don't have any cards.
Okay. Do we have anyone that wishes to speak? No? Okay.
I'd like to create a proclamation. We recognize this moment as a...
Okay.
Don't milk for more.
Okay, can we have a motion to waive reading in full of all resolutions?
A second.
Second. Okay. So, motion by Brown, second by Ward, all in favor? Aye. Passes 4-0.
Closed session report, City Attorney.
Thanks, Ron. There was no reportable action taken on any of the closed session items. The council deleted item D from that agenda and did not take up that item.
All items listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion without discussion unless council, staff, or the public request removal of an item for separate discussion and action. Staff and the public have requested that item 6J, that's the employee MOU, be removed for discussion.
Okay. Tim, do you have anything?
G, item G and item L.
Okay. Steve? No?
6B is in boy, 4.
Okay. And I am also pulling 6B4.
I'll move the balance.
Second? Go ahead. Motion by Doncheck, second by Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-0.
Okay, so for 6B4, which is the Planning Commission adjourned regular meeting minutes of January 18th, I'm on pages 4 and 5 in our staff reports, and it has to do with the Los Mares 76 Station Master Plan Program. And if staff is here, what is on my mind is dark sky guidelines, and I noticed that a member of the public cautioned, this is in the report, cautioned that the proposed fuel price lights may be too bright at night and produce glare, suggested shielding and LED lighting. And it wasn't clear to me if that was part of the action going forward, that staff was going to take time to see if LED lighting was a superior light source.
Yes. Good evening, City Council members. Amber Gregg, Interim City Planner. So as part of that approval, there was a condition of approval to work with the applicant in order to make sure that there were no adverse impacts and that either the lights, we would work to come up with a solution that would prevent that from happening. And the applicant in this case was willing to do that. So we're looking at several different options. We've also contacted the Dark Sky Association to see if they have any guidelines that we can rely on that have been implemented in the past, as well as looking at new technologies that are potentially out there.
Okay, so the applicant is responsive to the request and realizes we have the dark sky guidelines, and staff will make sure that the solution is within the dark sky guidelines?
Yes, so what we have are implementation measures of the general plan. We don't have adopted guidelines for dark skies. So in this case, we're lucky that the applicant is willing to work with us.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. You are looking at LED?
Yes.
As one of the paths? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. You were also going to pull it? Oh.
Yeah, I did, but go ahead and ask.
I just want to ask,
Here.
it worked earlier. Okay, I'm on, I think it's on.
This one's on.
Stereo. I thought I read that they were proposed to be put in LED lights.
They're proposed to put in LED lights, but the concern is the glare
Right,
from
and
the
so you're
LEDs.
gonna work with them on that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to ask, it seems like we have not reviewed one of these signs yet for these gas prices. And so what I'm concerned with too is that maybe aesthetics aren't being looked at, and we don't have guidelines, as you said. So I'm wondering, the applicant is willing to work with us, but I'm wondering if we should just go ahead and pass it without, pass their master sign program, but pull this LED part so that it could maybe go back to the planning commission. Would that add too much time for the applicant for his sign program, if we did that?
The way the condition of approval reads right now is that it has to be approved by the city planner. So if you wanted to pull it and have it set it meets your approval prior to going forward, then we can do that. But to answer your first question, you had said, had we reviewed these before? The city actually had reviewed these as part of another gas station proposal. That was the Valero gas station.
Correct.
In which it was approved. That location is located in the architectural overlay, so it was analyzed against those requirements. This area is not located within the architectural overlay, so there is a difference there. That project has not been built, of course, so we haven't seen it, but we have seen it in other communities.
Would it create hardship to add return to the planning commission, which would probably add 4 weeks to the process, right?
Well,
Or at
excuse me,
least
just-
the Dark Sky Committee, which one of them walked out.
If I could just interject, all you can do tonight really is call this up, notice it for hearing, rehearing before the city council, then change the condition, then send it back. So that's up to the
Well,
council.
You've heard our concerns. You know, I think I would like the Dark Sky Committee to be consulted on this, if that's at all possible, in what the city planner is thinking, you're thinking of doing.
So
to
what
approve
I
it.
think would be good too is maybe once we come up with a solution, we can go ahead and inform the city council of what we think is appropriate, as well as the planning commission, and go forward from there.
Okay.
I'm
I would
satisfied.
appreciate it. I do remember Valero, but
Okay.
this just seems a little different than that, and Valero didn't actually come to fruition, so we don't really know what that is going to look like. And I think the Dark Sky, I don't know if it was really implemented then.
Okay.
So, okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
So,
So, Mayor,
you-
were you pulling that item for the same topic?
yes,
Okay, then I will move item 6B4.
okay, I'll second that. Motion by Doncheck, second by Ward, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Next one is item G. That's Tim.
That is mine. I pulled that one only because I had a conversation a little bit with the city manager today, but one of the things that I wanted to bring up about this is just reporting back to the public on the performance of this program since its implementation. This program was launched in the month of October. This is SC Ride, so this is the Lyft. It's called SC Ride, and it's effectively when the bus service ended, we partnered with Lyft that would provide not a replacement, but basically a supplement for the folks that if they wanted to get to point A to point B in our town, they could call and use to subsidize fare with Lyft. That OCTA provided a grant, and is it a $500,000 a year, $400,000 a year?
In that range, it's fairly substantial.
Yeah, so per year, that will allow our residents to be able to still have some public transportation mechanism. And in October, we had 485 rides when it launched. In November, that more than doubled with 1198. December went up another 516.41, and January is at 2,064. So we're seeing an incremental improvement month over month, with almost zero advertising on the part of the city, other than having placards up at the bus stations. The reason I bring this up is as we get farther into this program, what I want to do is ensure that we're using the full balance of the funds allocated to us. Right now, we're getting some good take-up, but there may be a point where we may have to start advertising and pushing this out to the public more, so that we're really using what we've been provided and that folks really know what resources are there. And so I just want to bring that up to the council as something to be aware of. We have some early successes, but we want to make sure we're really exploring this option and using it to the best of our ability. And so there's no real action here. I pulled it more as an informational component. I think we obviously want to pass this, but I see some real potential there for our residents.
And building on that, the beta aspect of the Project V money from OCTA for the beta program, it doesn't have as many years as the trolley does. So another thought is, if we're not using our annual allotment, that we would propose to OCTA to let us keep it for, keep rolling it over and rolling it over to keep the program alive until it becomes a legitimate program on its own merits.
Yeah, I just want to add to it, as I've talked about it before, my personal circumstances with my son needing public transportation, and then the fact that we've used the lift, and at one point in time, it capped out. You can only do so many rides. That has gone away, so it's unlimited. You can basically go anywhere in San Clemente just about for $2. So it is a great system that I believe all of our residents and citizens and visitors can take advantage of it while they're in town. It's easier to get around town than when we had a bus. So it's a fantastic system that the city put together.
So, thank you. With that, I'll move the item.
Second.
Motion by Brown, second by Swartz, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Next item is L.
So So item L, I want to thank.
We had J, I
Sorry.
think.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry about
Jay.
that.
I'm so sorry.
I went in the wrong order.
Oh, that's right.
6J was staff and the public asked that to be removed, I believe.
Evening, Council, Mayor. This actually was inappropriately put on the consent agenda, so we're requesting that it get moved to the new business section.
Okay.
City manager wanted to speak to that.
Is that?
Yeah, it can be discussed.
So this item is the memorandum of understanding between the City of San Clemente and the Employees Association. This is a 3-year term contract, and all of the details are provided in the agenda report. It includes a 3.1 increase every year of the contract. However, it also includes an increase in what employees pay to contribute to their own retirement of 1.1% every year, which will actually accomplish full contribution of 7%, which is the maximum that we can get under CalPERS, under state regulation. It also includes the observance of Veterans Day as an additional holiday and an additional 8 hours of floating holidays for the employees. So we have 3 staff recommendations for you to consider tonight.
Okay, so are we moving this to new business, or?
It can be
There's
done,
no-
it just had to have an oral report. So
Thank you
can
very
have-
much.
yeah.
Okay, sorry. So I understand what you're saying. So do we have a motion?
And I'll second it. I support this.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you very much. We have one card. So we just stop for 1 second, and I'll open the public hearing. No, yeah, you're right. You guys got me on all different sides here. So would you like to come up and speak?
who's the card from?
Matt Squires.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor Ward and City Council.
Wait, Matt, are you speaking as an employee or are you speaking as a citizen?
I am speaking tonight as the president of the San Clemente City Employees Association.
Thank you.
So the association is proud to represent the hardworking employees who every day serve the San Clemente community. On behalf of those employees, we want to thank you for your efforts the city has put into securing a contract with the association. We believe this agreement acknowledges the hard work of your employees. The association looks forward to collaborating with city staff in the future on those issues impacting employees to move forward together, making San Clemente a great place to live and work. We appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
So I'll move again.
And I'll second it, and I'd also like to say that I am so proud of our city. We have some of the best employees, bar none, in Orange County. And I hope this is a satisfactory solution for all the employees because we have a terrific staff. So thank you for everything you do, and please send that message back from the council.
Okay, motion by Swartz, second by Doncheck. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-0.
So I'm sorry, just to be clear, was the motion to move that to new business or was the motion passed?
The motion to pass. Scott said we didn't have to do that. We just had
Okay,
to
thank you, that's what.
orally report it
Right, so
out.
it's just so it's clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not clear.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Now everyone's clear. All right, we're all good.
Okay, now we're on L.
Yes.
I hope so.
Okay.
Let's move this around.
I'm excited about this item. This is great. So I'm pulling this item, just more informational, too. We have San Clemente Day that we've asked the Beaches Parks Rec Commission to come back with a recommendation. I think they came back with a fantastic recommendation. And what they picked was the final Saturday of February to be our San Clemente Day going forward. Now, what this is going to look and feel like is a really good question. And so since we're right coming up to February 28th, it didn't give us a lot of runway to plan this. And so the hope and expectation is we'll have a full year to roll this out and to figure out what exactly San Clemente Day means. But one of the things I found fascinating is whenever people would say, where are you from? Or I'd ask, where are you from? Or people would say, I'm from San Clemente. And they're really proud of that. It's kind of fun to say you're from San Clemente. And I think part of that is because we really like what our town does and the way that things are. And so I really wanted to have something that we could, celebrate the founding of our town and be able to do that. And next year is 2018, so it'll be our 90th anniversary, right, of what we're going to do. And so my hope is that we'll be able to work on something for the next year. If you have some comments about what that might, look and feel like, that would be great.
Good evening, Mayor, council members.
By the way, I
Yes.
thought it was really good that although we were, I think it was February 29th that they found the date, but you decided to do it the last day of the month, so we didn't end up only being able to celebrate once every 4 years.
Yeah.
So that worked out well.
That was the idea behind it, and that did come from commission, celebrate on the fourth Saturday of February, and we'll have some continuity in that. So the idea, and we are certainly open to hear from you guys as well, we're thinking this year to kind of kick it off, we'll do a soft San Clemente Day, if you will. That would be this on the fourth Saturday of February. And we would look to do discounted recreation swim at our aquatics facilities, because that's a pretty easy thing for us to manage. We did offer free swim at Ole Hansen for about 3 months, and it was just wildly successful. So I think the residents would appreciate that, and it's a great way to celebrate San Clemente. And then moving forward, we would look to potentially have some kind of memorabilia stuff that we would include in maybe all of our facilities, highlighting our historic past and what we have here and what's been passed on from Ole Hansen, as well as our expansion into the Aquatic Center and Vista Hermosa, and all of the great things we've become as a city. So we would look to highlight that, but we would certainly love to hear your guys' feedback as well, if you have ideas and things.
I have an idea and a question. One idea is to reach out to our sister city and make sure that, we get the full San Clemente benefit from that relationship. And then also, what's up with the helmet, the medieval helmet on that logo?
So that is a crest that was used, and it's actually in our golf course logo if you look really closely at it.
Conquistador?
We're not sure. We're trying to get the history on it still. We're doing a little digging around. This photo actually we found online, and it's a historic swimsuit that we believe they used in the 1928 Olympic tryouts. That's kind of the information off of the photo. And the swimsuit is still for sale, I guess. It's out for auction as well. So we found that online and thought that's so perfect for San Clemente Day. It describes our history, and it's Ole Hansen in the background. So we're kind of running with that, using that as our symbolic history moving forward. And we'll look to incorporate that crest into our different promotions and things like that.
Okay.
Well, I have a great idea for next year. I think the city council should dress up in 1920s garb.
I actually have something like that in reserve just for that momentum.
Straw hat?
Right, yeah, no, I didn't, not really, actually, that's terrible.
Go ahead.
I think at some point, though, staff, and if the council wouldn't mind, I'd love to work with staff on this, because it's something I'm kind of passionate about. But one of the things, for example, is getting more flags produced and sold and out there for the community to buy. We're selling them at cost. We're not making any money on it because we just want that to get out there. But there's a lot of other things I think that can be done to help build the awareness and what we want to do here. So I look forward to it. I imagine there's probably going to be some budget items or something we're going to have to allocate for it. But ultimately, I hope this will become something where people can spend a day celebrating what a great town we have and enjoy all the amenities we have. It's really what it's about. So thank you, Samantha.
Thank
Really
you.
Wonderful.
And possibly this might just be not a day for residents to celebrate, but visitors. Because I can't tell you, and I'm sure we all hear it, anytime someone asks you where you're from and you say San Clemente, they go, I love San Clemente. It happened to me yesterday. They just love it. So I think it's going to turn into a lot of visitors also. And that will be something maybe to think about
I think it would
for
be
the
great.
future.
It really is about community and about folks enjoying it. So thank you. I really appreciate that. With that, I'll move the item.
Okay. And that is with, my understanding, now that it's the fourth Saturday, right?
Fourth
That
Saturday.
change?
Yeah.
Okay,
So the last day of the month is going to be now the fourth Saturday.
right. So let me make sure. Okay.
Yes, with changing that wording, so
And
motion.
that was the recommendation from the BPNR committee. I didn't pull those meeting minutes, but that was the recommendation that they had in there in discussion.
Okay. Motion by Brown, second by Doncheck. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-0.
And it's no fun to celebrate on a Monday.
No,
You know?
it is not.
Right, yeah.
It's a good idea.
That's great.
And the flag was a very good idea.
Yeah, the flags are cool. We got a new batch in, and they're looking really, really nice. And they're for sale at the golf course. They got a whole new batch down there, and they're really nice looking.
Okay. Next is a report from the Community Development Director concerning the 2016 T-Zone occupancy count update.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Cliff Jones. I'm the project manager for the next two items on your agenda, which are parking counts that were done for both downtown and North Beach. But the focus of this presentation here is the downtown. Just to give a little bit of background information, the council originally approved a $15,000 budget to hire interns to complete the parking counts for downtown and North Beach. The parking counts analyzed the parking utilization in these areas during the summer peak parking demand. Comparatively, to have a consultant do this same type of analysis, it would have cost the city about $41,000. So this is a cost savings of about $26,000 to the city. Thought that was important to note. So the purpose of the report is to reveal the areas in town where parking is in greatest demand. Based upon the data, the report makes parking management recommendations to better manage the existing parking supply. Those recommendations included in the report were presented to the Downtown Business Association at their October meeting, and they did express support for those recommendations. The DBA also suggested that the city take further steps to look at increasing supply of parking as well. I wanted to make sure that I noted that. These recommendations were presented to the Planning Commission in November, and the Planning Commission did support the recommendations. The parking industry regards occupancy rates of 85% for on-street and 90% for off-street as a maximum effective capacity. What that means is when you have parking occupancy, say on a street or in a parking lot above those thresholds, there's traffic impacts that occur. And that's because people looking for a parking space have to spend more time driving around an area looking for a space to park. With that information, it gives us good context to look at the peak summer parking demand in the downtown. We see that the peak demand was Thursday, 1 p.m. at 71%. So that's below those effective thresholds. However, we've noticed over the years an increase in parking demand. Since 2003, it's been shown that there's adequate parking in the downtown area. However, as you can see on this figure, there are areas where we're above those effective thresholds. So that's primarily in the downtown core. You can see those areas that are shown in red. However, outside the core in the overall district, there's areas of blue and green. Those are opportunity areas to disperse that parking demand. The other thing that we noticed when looking at the data was there's basically two peaks that we have in the downtown for parking demand in the summer. It's Thursday, 1 p.m. at 71%, which I mentioned earlier, and the other peak is Saturday at 7 p.m. And what we saw when we looked at each day is there's generally two peak occupancies on any given day, a 1 p.m. peak and a 7 p.m. peak. And of importance to note is that Thursday and Saturday are the two busiest days in the downtown. So the report reveals those areas where the parking on streets and in the parking lots are congested at peak times. Overall, the report concludes that there's adequate parking for a district at the peak times. However, it may not necessarily be located in the most convenient location for persons looking for parking. The report has a number of parking management recommendations included within it. You'll see there's 25 recommendations. I have them all available on subsequent slides if you want to talk about any specific parking management recommendation. But to save the council time, I won't go over each individual one, but highlight any specific one that the council would like to discuss. And that concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Is there any questions, staff?
I just wanted to ask, did this also take into consideration, or was it all done prior to the fact that we brought in the two types of transportation intercity, which is the LIFT program as well as the summer trolley program, which I would think would alleviate some of the problems we have regarding some of the hot spots as far as parking goes?
Excellent point, Councilmember Schwartz. The report was prepared and the analysis was done during the summertime. So those parking management tools that you referred to will help to further alleviate the demand for parking.
On a related vein, the shuttle hours, the trolley hours are going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from noon to 10 on Friday and 10 to 10 on Saturday and Sunday through the summer. Given the heavy use on Thursday, should we consider a 4-day trolley schedule? Or could staff take a look at that and either thumbs up or thumbs down? But if that seems to be the peak, and we currently are thinking Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but there may be an opportunity to add Thursdays.
I think we'll have to take a look at that with our consultant that helped prepare our ridership models for the trolley. Because if you remember, we have to have so many rides per hour on the trolley to keep it going.
Yeah, but now we have data showing that we have a lot of people parking downtown on Thursday, so.
I understand that, and we'll meld it together and see where it goes.
Okay. Cliff, I just have a quick question. On number 7, that is the parking management team.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's an internal working group?
That's correct.
Staff, okay. Could that also be utilized for the next item, the North Beach?
Yes,
Just a question.
Yes, it very well could be utilized for, that recommendation wasn't included for the North Beach area because the demand in North Beach isn't as high.
Correct.
But that same group can look at
Okay,
North Beach.
we'll talk about it then. I just wanted to know if that could be done. Okay, so no other questions?
I do
Okay,
have a
go ahead.
question. Okay, so recommendation number 1, which is continue enforcement of all parking regulations. Somewhere in the minutes from the Planning Commission, a commissioner suggests that maybe we outsource parking enforcement, and it's just a little phrase that's in the Planning Commission minutes. But as you know, we've got the matrix study coming over here, and I would be interested in knowing staff's thoughts on parking enforcement being something that we outsource, and not rely on OCSD for that, since it is a non-confrontational enforcement process.
I think we might have some ideas that come out of the matrix study on OCSD, on parking enforcement, and how we might come up with some solutions for that.
Okay, because the continued use of RSVP for that function, but basically I kind of like the idea of maybe privatizing it and, running it like a business rather than a low-level police task.
Yes.
Cliff, I have a question. Recommendation 2 was the circulation of a parking brochure. One of the items that I didn't see in here was, that I was curious about is what onus do the shop and the business owners in those areas have to direct their customer towards parking resources? So for example, let's say that you are a beauty shop and you schedule folks for appointments. They call and they schedule folks for appointments. Is there any thought given to the idea that they would have a directed parking lot? Say, if you come, please park here or go to this area. And this is almost as if instead of people, figuring out a map and figuring out where they go, well, you're going there for a purpose. A lot of people go back for repeat business, for services, restaurants, etc. That the shop owners themselves would have an idea as to where their clients, their customers should be parking. If things are busy, if things are free. I'm curious about that only because the shop owners themselves would be far better than a brochure or anything the city could possibly do. If they want repeat business, that we give them direction and we give them places where we can send people as opposed to the hunt, the hunt. Was there any thought given to that? I didn't see, I saw it in the report a little bit, but not much about that.
Not specifically, however, I think it's a really good recommendation, and it's something that the liaison, myself, could do when meeting with business owners, is to not only provide them the map, but also talk about what is the most, during a certain time frame, as to which lots are available and which lots they should direct their customers to. I think it's a great recommendation.
And just to further develop that is that if we get that habit of that, for example, Perfect example is Nick's, always tough to find parking. They fill up really quickly. And you're kind of at your own devices. You call up to make that reservation and there's no word of that. But if they can tell you, listen, 7 o'clock on Friday is very busy. If there's no spots available, please go to the library parking lot. It's a short walk away, and here's the directions to do so. It's far better than them circulating up, parking way up on Delmar, walking down. It's almost as if each business would have a strategy that they could employ that might overall pay huge dividends to that management plan. So just a thought.
Excellent.
Go ahead.
What I want to add to is I did meet with the Downtown Business Association, and parking did come up in the meeting, and they wanted to pass on. It seems like a lot of the businesses are supportive of putting in parking meters to help pay and fund for so potentially additional added parking in the area. So I just want to throw that out there, that the business community would like to participate with helping bring in funds and to create more parking availability.
The DBA has mentioned that to us in the past, and I've suggested to them that maybe some sort of petition from their membership, including landlords and tenants, showing a strong desire to have meters might be a good starting point for staff and the council to jump off on. But just having a few people tell us that they think it's a good idea, I'm not sure I have enough to work on right now with that.
Okay, well, they got me speaking at their next meeting, so I can bring that up.
Okay.
Do we have any cards before I keep
Yes.
going?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Don Brown?
Familiar face here.
I'm sure you have an opinion.
A couple items on the DBA, and I agree with the city manager on the DBA bringing up parking meters. And that was brought up in the planning commission meetings with these parking. This is the second year we looked at the T-zone, and my guidance or my put back to them was take a vote. And have the owners, just like James said, and the landlords vote. And I said, if it's not 70% or greater, okay? And it's going to be that, and I said that opens the door to a lot of discussion, because there's ramification how you push the parking out to the residential areas. But so I think we're on the same page with that. But I think James is right. We need everybody to stand and deliver, because Nick's has come in. A lot of people come talk to me about parking. Second item, and Tim, we have actually conditioned some of the recent restaurant with shared parking agreements. We've put it in a condition, like put it on your website, make sure your people call for residents, tell them where to park, where your parking shared site is. A good thing we can take to the DBA. Maybe we can roll that out. We've made it a conditional approval on a couple of restaurants recently on El Camino Real. And so I think it's smart, like you say, when you make the reservation or even through Yelp, park here. In other words, tell them to go there first so we can knock the traffic count down. The real reason I wanted to come and talk to you tonight was this is the T-zone count. This is the second year they've done it, and they've done a great job using summer student interns, and we've saved a lot of money by doing this. But we really know, if we don't know what the T-zone is like for parking now after 5 Walker parking studies in the 90s and 2010 and finding this, we know where every parking spot is, who's in it, when they're in it, where they're in it, why they're in it, and how they got there. The adverb test. And so it's really time to move on this report. I recommend to the council that item 7 that you brought up, Kathy, is probably the most important recommendation in the report. And it says, form that internal staff committee and work it. And come back and report to council semi-annual. I got to come up here quarterly. So pick a staff member and have them come back 6 months, or have staff figure it out. But let's make this thing a living document and go work, so the next year, maybe Kehoe is under lease or a Presbyterian church is under lease. So we can get like parking lot 8A on Cabrillo, which is full day parking right now. It's next to Nomads. And I know that 2 van pools are working out of that thing. And so, but we don't want to make it half day until we find places for the employees to park. Otherwise, we're pushing them over one street, into the residential areas. So I think that's the most key recommendation of a really excellent report. All these recommendations all the way through are really well thought out. They're all sequenced with a purpose, and my recommendation to you, the council, is pat staff on the back. You've done a great job, and now go act on it and make it work. And come back and make sure we get some movement on it. Thank you.
Cliff, can you come up again? I think I would like, if council concurs, I think we should have a report back time on item 7, like 6 months, so that we have we could see some progress, maybe there could be some suggestions, because what Commissioner Brown said is we have studied this a lot, and I can remember studying it through the Planning Commission. I think what we want to see is more actions. You know, we weren't able to follow up on Kehoe Plaza or Presbyterian Church. I don't know if we've ever approached Sit and Sleep, things like that. So I think there needs to be more focus, like this is actually something that we're doing. We're not going to wait till just next year. And one of the questions I wanted to ask, Commissioner Brown had mentioned that we've conditioned some of the new restaurants and things like that on Del Mar. Do we have any enforcement capability within our code for that when employees are not parking in say, lots that they have said they're going to have a shared parking agreement with? Or not just not parking on Del Mar? Do we have any of that? Because we are observing that happening.
Well, the condition is kind of a best practices type condition, but in practice it's difficult to enforce. So it's really letting the restaurant owners know, tell your customers where they can find convenient parking, but whether or not they're actually parking there or not, it's a very difficult thing for us to enforce. But I think it's an effective condition in letting the restaurant owners know to be thinking about those type of things.
Well, I think one of the first things that we should do in this working group is send letters out again, or meeting with the managers of these restaurants and asking them to please, when they have new hires, inform them that they should not be parking on Del Mar, that they should be trying to find more long-term parking. Even if it's legal and it's after, 6, they really shouldn't be parking there because they're taking up spaces for patrons to be parking there. So I think that's a good thing to remind them, because I think they've kind of fallen off the wagon on that. So I'd like to see a letter go out. And the other thing is the very last recommendations, which were more the comprehensive study, number 25. Why couldn't we do an amendment now to change the parking radius for future employee parking to 900 feet instead of 500 feet? Why couldn't we change that now for future conditions of approval? Would that help?
Well,
Find parking?
If the city council wants to direct staff to investigate doing that now at this time, we could. The thought was to look at it, a bunch of these parking management strategies comprehensively when we do this updated study.
Right, but I think as far as there has been some issues with some restaurants that want to go in and they're having trouble. We always ask them to go and try to find parking agreements with other people, but I think it might be helpful if we allowed employee parking only, and it has to be stated that it's employee parking only, to 900 feet. So that's something that I'd like council to consider, because it might allow some spaces to be occupied. But it cannot count for patron parking, 900 feet, because that doesn't meet the requirements.
Right.
So that's something that I'd like to suggest, a report back time on number 1 of, say, 6 months. Say, if you did get letters out to people, any talks that you've had with restaurants, of getting their employees to park somewhere else, and
Well, could I broaden your request?
Yes.
Because I share with Commissioner Brown and you a strong desire to get some action behind these ideas. And really, it's items 1 through 24, I would like to see metrics attached to them. So if number 1 is enforce posted parking regulations, I'd like to see the measurement device for that. So, set up 10 citations a month has now become 20 citations a month. But I'd like to, number 1, form the internal city parking management team. Number 2, task them with assigning metrics to each of these items, and I would, go broadly to 1 through 24, and then have them report back at the time you suggest. But all of these, for example, as a business person, number 4, continue to encourage restaurant employees to park. How do you measure that? You know, that's just kind of a feel-good, so we wouldn't know if we made progress or not. So that's that. And then also, I want to bump from item 25G, the shuttle bus, to the opening comment by Councilmember Schwartz. I want that in the top 10, that we're going to maximize Project V Trolley as a parking solution.
And also add that to the working group. I think the shuttle should be evaluated at the end of the first summer.
All of this, yeah.
It really
needs
should be, but-
measurement. It's like,
right.
yes, we met our 10 passenger an hour threshold. No, we didn't.
But you're right, comprehensively looking at all of it.
With action, with a bias to results.
Steve?
Yeah, I would like the 900-foot area really looked at, because I'm concerned that we might be pushing, depends on where they are, we might be pushing some more parking out into the residential area, then we end up in that problem.
It would, but these are actual parking agreements where someone goes to a lot that might be 900 feet away, and in our current code, we can only count 500, but they go to a lot and they buy, they do a shared parking agreement.
As long as they have lots within 900 feet or
Well, then it wouldn't
900
work.
feet and above. Right.
If they don't have it, then they wouldn't get it. But I think rather than everyone trying to get waivers, moving the footage where employee parking could be, it's a condition of approval, and the lot would have to be there. So, but only employee parking.
Do you have any discretion when you're doing the evaluation? Do you have any discretion you can exercise, 500, 1,000, 1,500? Do you have the ability to use discretion and exemptions?
We do in that, in this case, the 900 feet would be the maximum, but the Planning Commission would review such a request as part of a conditional use permit. Staff would evaluate the request, take a look at what lot they're referring to, what the utilization is of that lot, what the walking distance is from that lot to the restaurant destination or whatever use it is. So yes, in short, yes, we do have a discretion.
Because if there is a discretionary component of that, if they, for example, if they're handcuffed because of 500 feet, then we obviously would have to take some action. Amber, did you want to say something? I'm sorry.
I just wanted to add a point of clarification that employee parking and the use parking isn't separated in our zoning ordinance. We look at the use as a whole. So we don't say 5 of the 15 required parking spaces are for employees. In the downtown, for example, it's 1 parking space per 5 seats. So it would be hard to do that. Another option that we're actually looking at is identifying employee parking sites, and we have a couple to do leads on and designating them as this is a place for employees can go and park, but our code does not require or have a tool for us to do that currently.
Okay,
So we should add that.
So,
So I would be, just to finish my thought, Kathy, is that I would be more inclined to signal, right, to staff and the Planning Commission that we would view that with broader discretion, that you guys and gals could do what you feel is best, and that we wouldn't obviously feel strongly about 900 feet or whatever the case may be. Because that allows them to have discretion without us having to go in and, change up the code or whatever the case may be. You just say, we obviously want to be sensitive to the business environment. Please take the discretion you need. We think that we want to improve the parking assets down there. And as long as they have discretion, as long as they're not being handcuffed by the law, but they have the discretion to do so, then I think you've got clear direction from this council. That's something we support 100%. One other thing that I wanted, just if I could just insert this really quickly. Item H under 25, obviously I'm very sensitive to it because of the ride-sharing services. But I think there's an incredible opportunity. One of the biggest challenges we've had with ride-sharing services in San Clemente is because we're on a virtual peninsula here, we couldn't attract enough cars operating at any given time. So if you were to try and call up a ride, you'd have to wait 20 minutes because there's no cars that want to be down here because there's not enough business. And so with the new programs, I've noticed that has halved, if not more, that when you pull up Lyft, but if you pull up Lyft, you notice there's a lot more cars running around. I would be also interested to see if perhaps they had some suggestions on how we could improve our parking situation downtown. For example, let's say that we would have them, they do coupon codes all the time, like NICS, or the Downtown Business Association. They provide a coupon code, anyone who wants to frequent a restaurant there at night. And anyone who brings Uber down here, we're going to give you, cover 20% of the fare as part of the coupon code, right? And you're trying to incentivize folks to come in that transit and go back and forth because they're not taking parking spots. And that would be more interesting to me than a lot of the more bricks and mortar type approach we have, that we look at a strategic relationship where we could somehow push people to not park at all, yet still frequent our businesses downtown. And the way you do that is by having not only a provider like Lyft, who is down here a lot of the time, or Uber, but also to have a program that you could maybe work with the DBA in consideration to provide a grant of some type to try it for 3 months and say, here's a coupon code, use it during your busiest hours if this is happening during the day. And actually coupon codes, you can govern those, you know. But have it during your busiest hours, employ this coupon code and see if we can alleviate some of the parking problems. You take 5, 10, 15, 20 cars off the road during those times, you find that all of a sudden you're going to be having a lot of that, you know, working on your behalf without a massive expenditure of capital. And something that we could pull the plug on if it's not working or being abused. So I'm thinking that item H may be something we may want to bring a little bit. It doesn't necessarily need a lot of thought as much as maybe just ask the providers themselves.
For a program.
How do you guys improve parking in downtown areas? You know that San Francisco and some of these areas where parking is really a problem has these programs already developed. And so it might be interesting to see what the providers would say about how we could maybe use their services to improve that, and perhaps we work with the DBA to develop something and launch it.
Yeah, and when I talked to the DBA, I brought up having them voucher for parking, so I'm sure also doing the program where they're vouchering for a Lyft or an Uber would probably be something.
Giving a card to them, here's
Yeah,
your coupon
yeah,
code.
here, use, come on in, and also stay later, because you don't have to worry about if you're going to drink too much.
That's right. And that's the other component of the public safety component, right? Especially for the restaurants down there. The more folks we have taking Lyft and Uber, the less people we have to be concerned about having problems when they take off from the parking lot. So it's a very minor part of it, but it is something that's worth noting.
So you have another suggestion for the working group. That's another good, really good suggestion. Okay, did I open this up for anyone to talk? Is there anyone here that wants to speak? I thought I did too. Is there anyone else? Don, I'm so sorry. I forgot about you. I was like, I think someone talked, but I can't remember who it is. We have one more card.
This item is over.
Can I say
Sorry.
Sorry, it's already been happening.
Okay. So,
We could do the public comment, if you'd like to stay for public comment.
right.
No, no.
No, when we get to the public comment.
I'm sorry.
Okay, does anyone want to attempt a motion? Because it looks like we got rid of some of, maybe 2 and 3 out of this.
Oh, yeah, let's see how well I listened. First of all, item 7 is going to be changed from consider forming to form. So item 7 is form an internal city parking management team, okay? The group is asking that items 1 through 24 plus 25G, which is the trolley, and H, which is ride share, be considered as a comprehensive work plan for this new internal city parking management team. They will report back to City Council in 6 months, and their work plan will be organized in a way that is focused on results and things that can be measured. All right. Then separately, the 900-foot walking radius, 500-foot, item 25B. Do you want to summarize that one as part of the motion?
We didn't change that, right?
I didn't think we did.
No, we didn't change it because we decided staff could do it.
All right.
It was, you know.
Okay, so then that is the motion. I move that we approve Planning Commission's recommendation, but that it include items 1 through 24 and 25G and H as a master work plan, and that the internal city management parking team mentioned in item 7 return to City Council in 6 months with reports of action or progress that have been made on solving the downtown traffic situation. And then also, we initiate comprehensive parking. This is A4 in the motion. We initiate comprehensive parking and circulation strategy recommendation 25 after the higher priority implementation measures in process are complete.
Second.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion by Doncheck, second by Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-0.
Thank you for a very thorough study.
Thank you.
If only we could talk more about parking tonight.
Yes.
That would
Yes.
make my life complete.
And I'm here to talk about it.
Oh, what the? And here it appears.
Well, you notice how the parking topics really packed them in.
Yeah, I know. This is scintillating stuff, folks. I mean, on the edge of your seats for this.
So it's my pleasure to, again, good evening, Mayor, Council members. Cliff Jones, Project Manager. What I'm presenting to you now is the North Beach parking study. We did counts in North Beach as well in August. These are the first comprehensive counts that we've done for North Beach. This basically reveals the parking demands trends that we see in the North Beach area. That's what you see in that report. The data you find in the report is going to serve as a baseline for the future. So over time, we'll get to see what the impacts are to the North Beach area as certain land use decisions are made. The report includes parking management recommendations similar to what you saw in the recommendations for the downtown area. These recommendations were presented to the North Beach Community Association during their November meeting, and they expressed support for those recommendations. The Planning Commission reviewed those recommendations in November and also expressed support. Like I mentioned previously, the parking industry regards an occupancy rate of 85% for on-street and 90% for off-street as a maximum effective capacity. That's because occupancy rates above that create traffic impacts. What we found in the North Beach area was that the summer peak was on a Wednesday at 7 p.m. at 49%. So the peak parking demand, like it shows here, is 7 p.m. on a Wednesday, well below the effective capacity. So what that low occupancy indicates to us is that there's sufficient parking in the North Beach study area to meet the current parking demand. Overall, summer peak was Wednesday, 7 p.m. at 49%, but we also noticed that there's two summer peaks that we've seen in the North Beach area. You have a 9 a.m. peak and a 7 p.m. peak. What the figure shows is that 9 a.m. peak on the various days surveyed, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and the 7 p.m. peak there as well. This report reveals the areas where the parking is in various states of demand. We find that the parking system is well below its effective capacity for on-street parking and public off-street parking. This implies that parking for patrons that come to the North Beach area, they're finding it fairly quickly. It's close to their intended destination. And this report also includes parking management recommendations similar to the downtown one. Some of them kind of mirror what you saw in downtown, you'll see. And I'm available to respond to any specific recommendation, any questions that you do have. Thank you.
Is there any questions? No? Cliff, I have one. In the, looking at the end, the implementation measures, let's talk about in lieu fees. Why do we not consider those now or start looking at them now? Do we wait till parking is at capacity before we start doing that, or do we try to get ahead of it?
Well, for the in lieu fees, it's recommended, it's in the zoning ordinance, but we don't have the framework set up yet for in lieu fees. So it's a tool in the zoning ordinance, but we haven't actually utilized it as of yet.
Right.
And the framework's not set up essentially yet.
Okay, so that's something the council could recommend that you start looking at, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And the one thing that I talked about is getting the same working group to kind of oversee this also. I know North Beach, we have buildings that are not utilized yet, but I'm afraid that once everything gets going, with all the homes there, certainly we've heard other businesses are trying to move in. I'm worried that this great massive amount of parking is going to go quickly. So one of the things that I would like considered is moving up the in lieu fees, just to look at how a program like that would work. Or would we just look at it once we start seeing other projects come in? What would be best on that?
Well, right now, it's recommended to look at it in about a year and a half as part of the comprehensive parking study. So if the council feels as though we can wait a year and a half, we can do it at that time. But if the council wants to move it forward, we can look at it earlier.
Okay.
Well, I would like to look at it when we have some things that are in the works, but as in when they start to come up actually to us. I understand there's going to be some looking at the parking. I think that's when we should look at and maybe look at it that
We
time.
could bring it up then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this?
May I ask
Yes.
a quick question before Don Brown steals my thunder?
Okay.
Just kidding, Don. I love you. In very platonic ways, Father. So one of the things that I thought was curious is, first of all, the question is, was Itchaberry's and Schwack, Itchaberry's went out of business, and then Schwack went into business, right, because Bultaca went out of business. Were those operational when this study was done? Because those are Itchaberry's at least occupied a lot of the triangle area.
Summer they were operational.
Yes, they're both
They
out.
were, and Schwack had moved in by that point. Okay, so that's good because that's Hallmark. One of the things I think is interesting is that the park, Pico Park is not included in here as a parking resource. Now, it's a walk, but when I think of overflow parking for North Beach, that comes to mind because that is just as proximate as the library is to Del Mar in a lot of ways. And so I'm curious in future studies, or at least in utilization, that we maybe look at Pico Park, especially at night, that could potentially be something that, it would be a consideration. Anyway, so I thought it was intriguing about there. And then also not included, because it's not official, is also the vacant lot on El Camino Real. And I will remain completely quiet about that subject matter right now. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm saying what should not be said, it's the
Okay, so I'm going to stop you right there. Okay.
Anyway, so is there a reason why Pico wasn't included in that, or is it just wasn't part of the consideration?
I can't recall if Pico Park was was open at that time or not. So I think it would have, the data would have been inaccurate to include it, but I think it should be included in future studies.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Don, you want to come on, say your piece?
It is
Thank
the
you.
parking lot that shall not be named.
The Timothy Brown Memorial Parking Lot. I just want to, this was a really great first look at North Beach. You do have the comprehensive North Beach parking study from about 2010-11 that we did for Playa del Norte. I applaud connecting the working group to this effort also. They can probably draw on that parking study. As brought up in testimony that night by some of the local residents, there's some areas around Ellie's Table that we would recommend the staff to expand in the parking lot area study. I think they're going to do that, some of the lower gradient areas around there where people are parking now. To answer your question on Lyft and Uber, I just used Uber like 10 days ago. They seem to hover right around the Dana Point area. And as soon as you snag one, they're 8 minutes away from my house. And so I think we have enough mass down here now that they're gravitating down there, but it's a very good suggestion that we give parking vouchers, hey, Nick's, whoever down there, to get people off the road. But I support connecting this study as a first look. It's really a great effort, but connect the working group to it so we can get ahead of the power curve. I think, Mayor, you're correct. If certain developments come to fruition down there that we can't talk about right now, then there will be a critical mass. And, and things could go very rapidly. So I think it's a good effort to try to get ahead of the power curve on it and connect this particular study to the working group. Thanks.
Thank you. Cliff? So again, you know, working group, look at this also with the idea of the park needs to be included in the study, just as reference. And also, I would like the working group to look at enforcing parking in the North Beach area, and that's not just in the immediate North Beach proper, but to work with the parking enforcement on our continuous sidewalks on Buena Vista and Boca de la Playa. We need to encourage people to park maybe in their garage, and if we do that, or if we enforce our parking on where they're parking over sidewalks, maybe they'd start using their garage and not be able to do that. So it's just suggestions. If we're going to add the working group to this, get some suggestions on possible
Sounds
things
good.
that
We
they
can add
can
that.
look at. Because North Beach isn't just the parking lot, it's quite a few blocks. Those streets with the continuous sidewalks are so important because they lead to the beach.
Sure.
So we would need to take that into consideration. Does anyone want to make a motion on this? Okay. I'll move that we implement recommendations 1 to 2 as contained in the administrative report dated February 7th, 2017, and on file with the city clerk. Adding, investigate and implement recommendations 3 to 4 as opportunities present themselves. Continuing current parking management policy in North Beach, recommendations 5 through 8. Initiate comprehensive parking and circulation strategy. Recommendation number 9, after the high priority implementation measures in process are complete. Example, the zoning ordinance updates and specific plan update and the local coastal plan update, with the added that condition that all of these are overseen by that internal staff working group, with the suggestion first that we look at parking enforcement for continuous sidewalks in the North Beach proper. Does anyone have anything to add?
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion by Ward, second by Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Thank you very much,
Okay,
Cliff.
before we get off of North Beach real quick, I just want to bring the council some attention here. I just remembered this in talking about North Beach. Remember we used to have the pavers that were there, and we had a failure because of the way they were set up on the corners? We always wanted a decorative element. I was in Chinatown. Could you rotate that once? I was in Chinatown in LA.
It's not letting me.
Oh, it's not letting you? So this was a crosswalk, and they had painted with some type of paint into the asphalt this design, and it looked like it was a paver type structure, the way that it was set up, that they had installed these pavers, but it was just a paint, and they even put logos in it and had this kind of whole decorative out. Now, if you see it had been trafficked enough that it almost, see how it almost bent a little bit with the pavement as it moved? I thought this would be interesting if we were looking maybe at North Beach again in terms of decorative items, that we could potentially do that, those intersections, at what I would imagine would be an incredibly low cost, as opposed to putting in pavers, which would fail anyway, because it's black asphalt now, right? And so we still have that decorative thing we wanted for that area to create that, so this might be something we would look at, and even having maybe the San Clemente logo painted in there or something interesting like that. So just wanted to, before I forgot about it, just an FYI.
Thank you.
We have 2, actually.
Okay. This is oral communications, and we have 2 cards. First one, Don Urbanek.
Let's get it later.
Don, go ahead.
My name is Dawn Urbanek. I'm a resident of San Clemente, and I'm a longtime student advocate for the kids in Capistrano Unified and the taxpayers in all of the cities here. And I'm working really hard to keep the cities involved in following what Capistrano's doing. And tonight I wanted to point out a couple of things. One of my biggest concerns with Capo is that you can be a parent and go speak before them about a matter, and you speak your 3 minutes and they don't hear you. And a great example of what's going on there is that district staff is actually running the board, and then after the fact informing the board of what their actions are. And a good example of that was in dealing with the grand jury on the asbestos report. The staff actually responded to that without board approval, and when it went to the grand jury's judge sent it back and asked, did your board approve this? If I hadn't have pulled this item, it would have been passed on consent, and no one would have even known what was going on with that. And I want to point out that in the answers that the staff gave to the grand jury, they said that they would not be able to abate the asbestos issues in our schools for at least 20 years due to budget constraints. And I want to point out that those were asbestos items that were made known in 1989, and they are still not abated. That's unacceptable, and it's unacceptable that they would choose to give themselves $120 million in raises rather than fix health and safety issues for our children. The other item I want to point out has to do with the Melrose taxpayers. And another thing that came up at that meeting is that trustees thought they were getting 3 two-story buildings at San Juan Hills, Tesoro, and San Clemente, and that they were increasing capacity to make room for the ranch development. And what we found out at that board meeting is they're actually replacing old portables, and they're not getting any real capacity. And there's going to be 1,000 kids that have no seats at any of our schools because all of our high schools are overcrowded. And Ascencio was supposed to be completed for the opening of this school year, and it's just a dirt lot. And there's 1,000 K through 8 students that are crowding out Melrose taxpayers at Las Flores. And CAPA's school of choice policy is actually telling Talega residents that they have no right now to go to San Juan Hills. And they closed the Tesoro to the Ladera Ranch families who have paid for those schools. So I brought that to your attention in here. And I think that if you look back at the November 6, 2013 meeting, sorry.
Okay, next speaker, Star Bales.
Good evening. How's everybody? My name is Star Bales. I live in San Clemente. I'm here to address the issue, and I don't know if you've got it on your agenda yet, the red striping for El Levante. We're at the very top of the ridge. There's 3 homes, and the access road is 20 feet wide. We recently had a detox home that moved into the corner. They have anywhere, some nights it's 1 vehicle, sometimes it's 10 vehicles. They park on both sides. It's like threading a needle trying to get to our homes. We've had garbage trucks that haven't been able to access our 3 homes at the top. Emergency vehicles, the fire hydrant that services the entire block is right there at the end of the street. Fire trucks would not have access. We have talked to the owner of that home, but because they don't live there, they're running a business. They have this rotating employees and doctors and other people, and they really don't know. And I'm constantly calling to have people move their vehicles so I can leave my home or get to my home. So I just wanted to reiterate how much we really need this. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Oh, it's already,
So you were supportive of the prohibition?
Yes.
Right, okay.
We approved it in the consent calendar earlier tonight.
Okay, because I was here for the planning department meeting. I've been working on this for like 5 months, so I just wanted to make sure that it didn't slip by and I didn't put all I could into this. So I appreciate it so much. I can't tell you how much. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Have a great evening.
Say hi to David for me.
Thank you, I will.
Okay, next speaker is Ann Barr. Oh, and this is Elevante also.
She's my neighbor.
Ah, you have waited, so let's, yep.
Yes, Mayor and City Council. I'm the neighbor for Star, and I just wanted to express my appreciation for you passing that, and to one of your employees, Jane Mrotek, I believe it is, in the engineering department. When the letter was sent out about the proposed change, I was away for the holidays and didn't see the letter until after the public hearing was over. And so I called shortly after the new year and talked with Jane, and she listened to me, and she came out and looked, and she preserved my one parking space in front of my house. So I really appreciated that, and I wanted to let you know. Thank you.
City Manager? City Attorney?
Nothing more tonight, thank you.
Council members?
Okay, go ahead, Steve.
I attended the Prop 64 Cannabis Regulations Roundtable, and there were a number of members of the state staff that were going to be putting together the different regulations. We had also up there some of the sheriff department as well as some local city officials. And I thought I'd go over just a few of the highlights of what we discovered that's going to be occurring as this gets into, becomes effective. Now, it just to let you know, everything is being put together so that it actually goes into effect on January 1 of 2018. That's when the whole thing was supposed to be put on. One of the issues that they brought up is the fact that it's supposed to dovetail in with the medical marijuana ordinances and laws, but unfortunately, they have very different pieces in them, and they're having difficulty merging the two. Right now, it's legal to possess 28.5 grams of cannabis, but there's no legal distribution, cultivation, or sales at this time. The state implicitly stated there'll be no license for any cultivation, any distribution, or any sales if it violates any local laws. So local laws prevail when it comes to getting a license from the state for any of that. But the new law will make it legal for any individual to grow it up to 6 plants in their own residence. There's no outdoor growing allowed, but the state does allow the city and local governments to regulate that growing, such as they suggest you could permit the indoor growing, and you could permit them also when you're looking at and also inspect them for fire hazards or for usage of electricity. One of the issues that brought up was the banking, since there is no legal way for proceeds to be deposited to any bank that is federally licensed or federally insured. That is a cash business, and they have no idea how they're going to then pay their taxes or anything else with them. Distributors will be licensed. They will be the ones that take the product from the growers to the retail locations. The retail operators will be allowed to deliver. There will be no interim delivery service, but the retail operators will be to deliver. And the one issue that came up and was hammered on was the fact that enforcement of this is going to be extremely difficult. And although there is considerable money going to the state coffers for the 15% tax and the additional tax that they're putting on the growers, none of that money is going to flow to any of the cities to enforce. But we're going to have the job to enforce.
Except we haven't allowed any commercial growing in our city.
I understand that, but the problem that the sheriff stipulated, what is a real concern is, how do you identify a car driving to your city and delivering the product, there's no way to know, no way to control it, no way to understand it, but we're supposed to be responsible to enforce it, and that's going to be the problem.
I think that's called traffic stops.
Why,
And that gets found out.
Why is that isn't considered an unfunded mandate?
Well, at some point it is, yeah. Well, with the exception that something that you can charge fees for can be found to be exempt from the unfunded mandate statute. So whether that's possible in this context, yeah.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. Tim, did you have anything?
I do. Coming up on February 16th, we have the Community Engagement Panel for the San Onofre Decommissioning is meeting in Dana Point at the Ocean Institute, which is located at 24200 Dana Point Harbor Drive. And the meeting starts at 5:30. We'll be going till 8:30. And we welcome anyone who would like to attend and learn more to please join the Community Engagement Panel with members of the public. If you'd like more information, the agenda and other items, please go to www.songscommunity.com and you can get all the information that you need from there, and look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Okay, I have a couple things. First, I am concerned about the new state law for additional dwelling units being allowed in our city, and I would like to see if there's consensus from the council that staff would come back to us soon in the future to tell us what we can do to regulate this, what the issues are, what possible impacts that might be. So that's okay? Okay. All right, thank you very much. So we'll do that. And then the second thing is I wanted to tell you that I was unsuccessful in getting on the Emergency Medical Committee. I did have very nice letters from all of you and from the city of Brea, Dana Point, and Seal Beach recommending that we have a seat. Letitia Clark, I think her name was, and she had very extensive medical, and she had worked on Hurricane Katrina and also worked with pediatrics, so I could not withstand that. We got a lot of votes, but she got to 18 first, so we were not successful. But we do thank the city of Brea, Dana Point, and Seal Beach, and all the other cities that did vote for us to have a seat on that committee. So just let it, I know. They were all very nice. And it's a great panel. We went before them, and I thought they did a great job for our city. Okay. So does anyone want to move to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn to a adjourned regular meeting to be held February 13th at 6 p.m. in the council chambers at 100 Avenida Presidio, San Clemente, for the purpose of interviewing candidates and making appointments to the Human Affairs Committee and the Golf Course Committee, and that we also have an adjourned regular council meeting that will be held on February 21st in the council chambers. Closed session items will be considered at 4:30 p.m. and the regular meeting will commence at 6.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Dunchak, second by Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Good night, everyone.